This is Hayhira, Georgia. Hayhira is in South Georgia. It's in Lowndes County. Lowndes is home to Valdosta, Georgia, which is probably the next biggest city. And we're here today because I was looking for the Mary Turner lynching site, memorial, marker. And I couldn't find it. And the reason I could not find the Mary Turner marker was because they permanently removed it. And the reason that they permanently removed it was because it kept getting destroyed by people who did not want to have a marker for a woman that was lynched in this county. And I don't know if you know the story of Miss Mary Turner's lynching, but it's particularly brutal. Because Miss Mary Turner was lynched in this county at this spot because she spoke out about her husband being lynched. Okay? Her husband was lynched. She got mad about it and she expressed her outrage. All right? And what happened was, the lynching party came, rounded up this woman who was very pregnant. I want to say she was 6 months pregnant, maybe more than that. And they beat and killed her. But not only that, someone took a knife and cut the baby out of this woman's womb and stomped the child to death. So I'm showing you this sign that has bullet holes in it right near Miss Turner's memorial. And this is why they had to remove her marker, because it kept getting shot up with bullet holes.
Someone used a knife ordinarily reserved for splitting hogs to cut open the woman's abdomen. The infant fell from her womb to the ground and cried briefly, whereupon a member of this Valdosta, Georgia mob crushed the baby's head beneath his heel. Hundreds of bullets were fired into Mary Turner's body, completing the work of the mob. The Associated Press, in its notice of the affair, observed that Mary Turner had made unwise remarks. See?
What do you call a country where a black woman gets lynched just for demanding justice? What do you call freedom when speaking up gets you executed all in front of a crowd? Meet Mary Turner. She was 21 years old, a wife, a mother, 8 months pregnant. She had just lost her husband. He was lynched by a white mob in Georgia in 1918, all for supposedly being involved in a white man's death. No trial, no evidence, just vengeance. And Mary, she said it was wrong. She said she'd go to the authorities, and that was all it took. They hunted her down. A white mob tied her ankles, hung her upside down from a tree. They set her on fire, and if you didn't need a trigger warning for that, you may need one for this. They cut her baby from her womb and crushed its skull in front of the crowd. No one intervened. Not the sheriff, Not the mayor, not the bystanders. Some actually brought their children to watch. This wasn't justice. This was a warning to every Black woman who dared to raise her voice. They left her body near a bridge. They left it there like a trophy. And then when the NAACP tried to investigate, local papers mocked them. There were dozens of lynchings that week alone. A massacre of Black families run out of town, shot in the swamps, or burned alive in their homes. But Mary Turner's murder was so brutal, it pierced the nation's conscience. For a moment, Mary Turner wasn't a footnote. She was a target because she dared to believe that her life, her baby's life, mattered. She said the truth out loud and they made her pay for it. So we have to say her name. We have to say it with grief, say it with rage, say it with purpose. Because her story was buried for a reason, and unearthing it is an act of resistance. Say her name, Mary Turner.
Already seen you in my dreams. In a house, white picket fence, a beautiful family. Wherever you are, when I wake up, I'm gonna find you, love you. Yeah, they call me my casket closed. She was brown skin, 5'3", long hair with hella ass toasting on.
All right, it's filming. It's filming.
You said you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is we recording? Yo, man, hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Path of Brotherly Love. We have a very, very serious topic tonight, man. It's almost like a memorial show because we always show love to people that presently pass. But now my brother came up with this awesome idea to talk about something deep, interesting. So tonight we're going to be talking about Mary Turner. Very horrific story. I even had to do some research this time. I usually don't even really get into a lot of downloading papers. I'm sitting here on my lap. I got a ton of papers. And I want to say it happened during the Jim Crow era in the South. I think I got my papers on me. Start real quick. There we go. So during the Jim Crow era, for people that don't understand what the Jim Crow is, let me give you a brief little breakdown of what the Jim Crow era refers to. Jim Crow refers to the state and local laws adopted primarily in the post-Reconstruction era, which is like the late 1800s to the mid 20th century, that enforced racial segregation and disenfranchisement of Black Americans. Real quick, we do it again. Jim Crow refers to state and local laws adopted primarily in the post-Reconstruction era, late 1800s to the mid 20th century, that enforced racial segregation and disenfranchisement of Black Americans. So, to give you another one, a key feature, enforced separate but equal doctrine after 1896 Supreme Court ruling in Plessy versus Ferguson, which upheld segregation laws under the 14th Amendment. So you gotta understand, to give you some ideas, as to what that means. Resulted in enduring inequalities in education, healthcare, housing, employment, political power, psychological oppression, and normalization of white supremacy persisted deeply in everyday life. Widespread disenfranchisement, for example, poll taxes, literary tests, jury exclusions, and intimidation tactics like lynching terrorized Black communities between 1890 and 1940. Documented lynchings alone reached about 5,000. Total intimidation and extrajudicial killings may have approached 20,000. So the reason why I wanted to talk a little bit about the Jim Crow laws is because it basically encouraged segregation, murders. Like I just said right there, 5,000 people got lynched, and more than likely nobody was prosecuted because right there you heard keywords like the Supreme Court encouraged it. So I thought that was important to talk about before we get into Mary Turner's specific story. My brother is going to talk more deep about it, so I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try not to spill the beans, but it happened in May 19th, 1918. I want to give some things that my brother. I know I'm sure he's going to explain how it happened, so I don't want to spill the beans on that. But I just want to talk. It was an atrocity. She was hung, and it was real brutal. So I don't want to give up the juice on the whole story. My brother going to, I'll let him since it was his story. But I want to, like I said, bring up something. Why does it matter for us to talk about why this African American woman was murdered? The atrocity is widely remembered as one of the most horrific examples of racial terror in the Jim Crow South. It also illustrates how lynch mobs targeted not only men, but women and pregnant people, and how such violence was used to terrorize whole black communities. Memorialization and ongoing disputes over markers and remembrance have kept Mary Turner's story in a public discussion. So she was pregnant. I mean, I didn't want, there's more details on it. I'm sure my brother's going to give it, and it's just, it turns my stomach. I talked to some of the Caucasian white brothers here, let them read it. And sometimes white people get upset and they don't want to remember it. They don't want to talk about it. They get frustrated. They're like, well, it was so long ago. First of all, this is only 107 years ago. There was no justice for this lady. There was a letter wrote by it was a group of women called the Colored Federation Clubs of Augusta. This was a woman group that wrote a letter to the president at the time, which was Woodrow Wilson. And the letter went something like this: whereas the Negro womanhood of GA has been shocked by the lynching of Mary Turner at Valdosoda, Sunday, May 19, 1918, for an alleged unwise remark in reference to the lynching of her husband. And whereas we, the Negro women of the state, are aroused by this unwarranted lawlessness and are discouraged and crushed by a spirit of humiliation. So I'm looking at a copy of that letter. In dread, we therefore are asking that you use all the power of your great office to prevent similar occurrences and punish the perpetrators of this foul deed, and urge that sure and swift justice be meted out to them. So they're asking President, this is the letter. I'm looking at copies of the letter, which is part of Department of Justice archive records. So the DOJ has this letter. Woodrow Wilson has done nothing. They asked this person for help. There's no proof to show that they even got a response. But there was like another dude named Chambers. 16 years after the lynching in 1934, Mr. W.B. Chambers wrote a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Basically, he was a kid when it happened. He couldn't do nothing, and now, he's asking President Roosevelt to do something, and President Roosevelt his letter was forwarded to the Department of Justice again, and they have copies of his letter too. I try to explain to people that you have to heal from the trauma. If there's never been no justice, this lady sold her family, her husband, the unborn baby. She was 8 months pregnant. I mean, there is no justice, there's no peace. And when I say that, it's blood on the government's hand until they step up. And I mean, you could say it's 107 years ago. Probably can't go backwards. I don't know what you can do. I mean, at least memorialize the lady some kind of way, acknowledge this, because I mean, I never heard about it. It's the first time I'm hearing about it, and like I said, I have Caucasian friends, I have white friends, and we talked about this. Like I said, some of them get frustrated and they be like, man, can we just leave the past in the past? And I tried to explain to one of them, like, well, if, and he's like, yo, he brought up a good point. He was like, well, I didn't have both my parents. I grew up poor. I probably was poorer than most of you, some black kids. And, so that's it, in this generation that's happening, that's understandable. Yeah, he may feel that way, but it still don't justify. And, if we're asking for reparations or the level to fill, he's like, so then our argument ended, well, not our discussion, because we didn't argue. He's a good dude. Shout out to my bunkie Casper. White dude, very intellectual, smart, talented. I respect his opinion. And we just came to this thing like, well, let's just start all over. Give everybody a fair shot, because they wasn't there, we wasn't there. We, as long as we live in the past, and we're living in the past with a story like this because there was no justice done for this lady. The murderers and perpetrators got away with it. The government didn't care. Lynching was like legal. After the abolishment of slavery, this is happening in 1918. So there was no justice, and they're begging out to the president's right and let people have been writing letters to the Department of Justice for years. And another thing I wanted to touch on, for women, was that before the Civil War, Dr. J. Marion Sims performed genealogical surgeries on enslaved women without anesthesia in the 1840s. So this Dr. J. Marion Sims performed genealogical surgeries on enslaved women. Enslaved people were often used in surgical training, drug testing, and post-mortem studies. I thought that was important to talk about. African American women slaves were studied doing genealogical studies. I mean, like, it's deep. And I think the reason why I did so much studying on this kind of stuff is because there's a lot of black on black crime going on in Philadelphia, Chicago, and Georgia. By the way, Georgia, I think, is the second most biggest place where lynchings even took place. And in that year, for a week, it was like a whole week. I think like 13 women was hung in that same week. Like, it was this big thing going on. So she wasn't the only woman hung or murdered. Her story was just, like I said, my brother will go into detail about it. I don't want to spill out everything about the story, but shot, hung upside down, and everything. It just, so we gotta heal America. America has to heal, and America can't heal from its trauma unless we address it. And me growing up, born in 1981, growing up, you expect me to trust a system that never had no justice for just us. You know what I mean? We was the only, and if we're the most recent freed people in the world, then, I think we could do a lot. So, just want to send I don't even know if she got any other family members alive, because they killed her only first kid that she was going to have. So, I just pray for her if she had other family, and I pray.
On this date in 1918, Mary Turner is lynched by a white mob in Brooks County, Georgia, after speaking out publicly against the lynching of her husband the day before. Mary was pregnant at the time. You don't hear it talked about, but the lynching of black women has been a long time trend in America. To stay up on your hidden history, lock in with me.
They didn't just unalive her. They tied her upside down, set her ablaze, and forcefully removed her unborn baby out of her. Why? Because she had the audacity to speak up. Her name was Mary Turner, 19 years old, 8 months pregnant, and married to a black man named Hayes Turner in Georgia, 1918. After a white plantation owner was unalived, white mobs blamed black workers. No evidence, no trial, just rage. They unalived Mary's husband, and when she publicly protested his death, they came for her next. Mary tried to escape, but they hunted her down. In broad daylight, in front of a crowd, they tied her by her ankles to a tree. She was still alive when they set her ablaze and used a knife to remove the baby from her womb. The baby didn't survive. Neither did justice. No one was arrested. No one was held accountable. This wasn't just violence. It was a message. Stay in your place, or else. But we're not staying silent. We're not forgetting. Because Mary Turner didn't pass away for nothing. She was unalive, standing up for the man she loved. She was unalive, demanding dignity in a world that gave her none. This is the part of American history they hide in footnotes or erase completely. But we're saying her name, out loud. Follow now if you're done with sugar-coated history and ready for the truth they tried to bury.
They told her to stay quiet. She refused. So they lynched her. 8 months pregnant, 20 years old. Her name was Mary Turner. In May 1918, her husband, Hayes, was wrongfully accused of killing a white man in Valdosta, Georgia. He never stood trial. A white mob lynched him, hung him from a tree. Mary was devastated, but she did something black women weren't supposed to do in the South. She spoke up. She demanded justice. She said the killer should be arrested. For that, they made her the next target. A white mob tracked her down, dragged her to the edge of town, hung her upside down from a tree. Then, they poured gasoline on her, set her on fire, and while she screamed, a white man took a knife, cut open her womb. Her unborn baby fell to the ground, and they crushed it under their boots. The crowd applauded, then riddled her body with bullets. Over 100 shots. Mary Turner was murdered for using her voice. No one was punished. No names were recorded. The town buried the truth and dared anyone to speak it. They told us lynching was about crime. They never told us it was about silence, about making examples out of the brave. Mary wasn't just a victim. She was a warning, a message to every black woman. Speak, and we will kill you too. But we're speaking now. Her name is Mary Turner. And we remember, follow. If this is the America they never wanted taught, if this broke you, drop Mary in the comments.
Hello. How you doing? This is Sean Purnell with another episode of The Path of Brotherly Love. The Path of Brotherly Love. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing okay. This episode is a real touchy one, and it took me a minute to put it together because it was pretty sad. It was pretty sad. It's about Mary Turner. Mary Turner, a young black woman, a mother, a wife, and a teenager. 19 years old, 2 kids, 8 months pregnant. Married to Hayes Turner. He was a labor worker. They both was respected people amongst their community. And what happened was very horrific, which I'm uploading some videos to go along with this episode with my brother talking and with me talking. I'm also going to have some footage of what happened. And the thing is, it's unbelievable that a people could be so cruel, so hateful, no remorse And still to this day, no one was charged. Yet, there was a mayor, there was a sheriff, there was a president of the United States of America, and there were bystanders. There was the NAACP. There were a lot of moving pieces going on during this time. It's not like nobody didn't know what happened. Everybody knew what happened. But still, nobody was held accountable. Yet, I'm still trying to figure out how in America, us, who was brought here in chains, us, who was stripped of our language, stripped of our greatness, stripped of who we was, beaten, raped, murdered, are considered the threat. That's interesting. Sounds more like the pot trying to call the kettle black, if you ask me. Is this story itself is kind of hard for me to even talk about because it was so horrific. And I think that word is like a mild term. You know, I think there needs to be a word even worse, graphical, more deadly and monstrous to put a title or put some kind of description to what happened. You know, this woman, 19 years old, married to Hayes Turner, 2 kids, pregnant 8 months. What did she do? She went to the authorities and let the authorities know that her husband was wrongfully lynched. He was wrongfully tortured and killed. And for her going to the authorities and reporting this and having the names of all the people involved in that mob, she had names. What it cost her? Her life. That's what it cost her. Why? Because at the time, Woodrow Wilson, he was the president of the United States at the time. Woodrow Wilson. Okay. And Woodrow Wilson was in office from 1913 to 1921. To know of something that is so horrific and you empower and don't do nothing, it says a lot. It says a lot. It says a whole lot. What did the mob do to a pregnant 19-year-old? They kidnapped her, took her to Folsom Bridge. I think they said it's near Little River. And they hung her upside down by her ankles doused her with gasoline. 19-year-old pregnant woman. Doused her with gasoline. Lit her on fire while she was still alive. Took a knife, cut her stomach. Her unborn baby fell out. And another person took and stomped on the baby's head, crushed it and killed it. It yelled out one time as it was hitting the ground. It yelled out. It yelled out, little baby. It was due to be delivered in a few more days. It was due to be delivered. And they stomped on the baby's head. Not they, it was him. One man. And after that, that wasn't good enough. They shot the baby. Then they took, while she was burning, belly cut, shot her over 100 times. 19-year-old pregnant. 19-year-old pregnant woman. It took a whole mob to do this to a woman because she wanted justice for her husband. She wanted justice for her husband, and that's what it got her. It's very cruel, but I can't understand what kind of monsters would do that. What's in your blood? What's in your veins? And I heard is a report that they brought their children to. Again, generational disgusting. Generational disgusting. Generational cursed people with a warped mind would do this. So during this rampage, 13 people were brutally killed because Hampton Smith, a plantation owner who was notorious for being cruel and abusive to his workers or whatever you want to call them, but he sometimes didn't want to pay them. He would torture them. He would do a lot of things. One of them killed them, but it wasn't Hayes Turner. It wasn't the 19-year-old pregnant Mary Turner, 8 months pregnant. It wasn't her. But the mobs went on with their vengeance and hatefulness. And so many thousands and thousands and thousands of people of color had a fate as disastrous and tragic as that during this time. And this was Georgia. Georgia is so many bad things there. Georgia, so many bad things there. Georgia, so many bad things. And this is sad that I'm just hearing about Mary Turner all these years. It was never taught in school. It was never taught. Why? Why one group of people have so much hate in their heart? Why? What makes you hate so drastically? I want to send a prayer out to the Turner family, that bloodline, whoever is still alive. I did see some research where there was a granddaughter, let me see, the great and great granddaughter, the great and great great granddaughter of Mary Turner, and I see them, and I am saddened for their loss, and I just pray that God handles this situation, because justice needs to be served, and God knows it, who's the villain. God knows what happened. You know, they may have hid it from everybody, but they couldn't hide it from God. Father God, I pray that you put justice to this family, dear Lord. Put justice to the Turner family. I pray for the family, for healing, for peace, for understanding. And Lord, I pray that you shed light on why. Why should a people suffer to the hands of another people so bad? So bad. I know everything works to the good to those who love the Lord, to those who are called according to his purpose. And I know that we are your chosen people. Lord, I pray for that family. I pray for all those families. I pray for the Till family, Emmett Till. I pray for all those people that just because of the hatred of one group of people, one group of people suffers. Y'all, I thank y'all for another episode of The Path of Brotherly Love. I pray that y'all look into Mary Turner a little more, look deeper, look into the things that were going on in that era. Because the thing about it is, when someone get away with murder, it don't stop there. So there's more. There's more. There's a whole lot more than we know about, because every secret ain't told. Every secret ain't told. So I pray that justice will be served. It may be a long time, but like, it's been over 100 years, and finally they made lynching a federal crime. Like, really? I don't even have no more words for that. But I thank y'all for watching The Path of Brotherly Love. Moving forward, we're going to have some real exciting and good content for y'all to watch and interact, and hopefully be encouraged and understand who you are. But like I said on the last episode, do not put off tomorrow what you can do today. Today is the day. Today is the day for you to go after your dreams, go after your goals. Be who God called you to be. And never let nobody tell you what you can't do, because you can do anything you put your mind to. Hard work and dedication, you can achieve anything. Trust me. I became a champion by working hard. My past failures have come when I didn't give it my all. And I wasn't willing to do that sacrifice. But when I was willing to do that sacrifice and I worked hard, good results came out of it. I became a champion. I became a champion more than once. Okay, I graduated from things. I accomplished things. Everything, if you put your mind to it and you work hard, you can accomplish it. So do it now. Don't put off, because none of us are promised tomorrow. We don't know when our day is over. We don't know. And that goes to loving your family members. Love them. Give them all the love that you can give them now. Don't put it off for another day. Let now be now. Let love be now. Let you telling them, give them, like they say, you're giving them their flowers while they're here. Yeah, give them their flowers. Your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your sister, your brother, your family. Love them. Love them now, because tomorrow you don't know what's going to happen. So again, I thank everybody for tuning in on the Path of Brotherly Love. Take care. Take care, and I hope you're subscribe to the channel. And we got a Cash App. If you want to donate. That's beautiful. And also, you can leave a comment if you want us to send you some free material, like one of our CDs, my books, or whatever the case may be. I appreciate my subscribers, so anything that I can do, let me know in the comments and I'll make it happen. Take care. Be blessed. I love all of y'all. I appreciate it. Take care.
Mary Turner, Valdosta, Georgia, 1918. I will warn you right now, this story is extremely disturbing, but it's history that needs to be told and remembered. As ugly as you may think racism is, it is so much worse than that. In 1918, Mary Turner was brutally murdered in one of the most horrific lynchings in American history, all because she dared to speak out. It all started in Valdosta, Georgia, when a white plantation owner, Hampton Smith, was killed by one of his black farm workers. Smith was well known for abusing and exploiting black laborers, and after his death, white mobs went on a murderous rampage, taking the lives of at least 13 black men and women in revenge. One of those victims was Hayes Turner, a man with absolutely nothing to do with the crime. He was lynched just for being black. And that's when Mary Turner, his 8-month pregnant wife, did the absolutely unthinkable. She spoke out. She demanded justice for her husband. She knew the names of the people who had done it, and she let everyone know. And for that, just that, the mob decided she had to die too. Now here's where it gets very hard to take. They kidnapped her and dragged her to the banks of the Little River. They hung her upside down from a tree. They doused her in gasoline and set her on fire. Then, in one of the most sickening acts in history, one of the men cut open her pregnant belly. Her baby fell to the ground, alive. Witnesses say it let out a single cry before someone in the mob stomped its head into the dirt. Then they riddled Mary Turner's body full of bullets. Not one person was ever arrested. Not one person was ever punished. Mary Turner's name and story were almost erased and forgotten for decades, but her death helped spark something larger. The NAACP and early anti-lynching activists began documenting cases just like hers, exposing the horrors of racial terrorism in America. Today, there's a memorial near the site where she was killed, but many people still don't know her story, but we remember. Because this is America's past, and if we don't talk about it, history will repeat itself. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Follow for more history they don't want you to know.
Bloodline streamed as hard as it seems. Royalty. Royalty was your reality, a normality that blasphemes today. For at any moment, a stray may ricochet and kill your kin. No longer are you the preeminent wonder of the world, for kings have been fooled, schooled, and now ruled.
We all live different lives, we all got different goals. Life is all about choices, gotta pick and roll. Can't go forever tricking hoes off of flipping nose. Follow me, get superstitious like you split the pole. First you was hot on the trail, now it's getting cold.